Murphy Austin Adams Schoenfeld LLP, focusing on business law and commercial litigation, is proud to support Rob on the Road, Region Rising. More information available at murphyaustin.com.
On Rob at Home, join me for a discussion with the leaders of one of the fastest growing companies in our region, multi-industry consulting firm Clutch. Co-founders Rachel Zillner and Descalzo share their journey next on Rob at Home.
And now, Rob on the Road, exploring Northern California.
I am thrilled to have Rachel Zillner and Descalzo joining us now on Rob at Home. Great to see you both.
Great to see you, Rob.
Yes, good to see you.
So glad to be with you. And wow, what a year it has been already for both of you. Going sort of deeper here from a kitchen floor breakdown, if you will, to a big time breakthrough for your futures. And tell us about, first of all, is it Clutch still, or is it Minerva Versa, or is it all of it? Is it all in the clutch of one?
I would answer that by saying yes. And it's Rachel and Ann's vision coming to life in a multifaceted way. So Clutch announced to the world that we have established headquarters so we can root down in the region in Rancho Cordova, California, which we're very excited about. And with that exciting announcement, we also shared what we're passionate about and what we've been working on behind the scenes, which is Minervaverse, which is creating an entrepreneurial ecosystem for founders and funders to have an opportunity to become more educated and empowered. And maybe I'll let Rachel share a little bit more about that.
Sure.
Yeah, and I also think it's very interesting, Rachel, before you jump into that, that some of Minervaverse was born out of what you did not see in the world or could not find in the world during this creation process.
Yes, Rob, that is so true. Anne and I have been on this beautiful adventure. I would call it a wild journey over the last 4.5 years. And certainly we had times where we had tremendous success and then also tremendous concern about what that adventure was like for us. When we had great growth, in fact, so many bodies of work that we were doing during the pandemic, we grew about 120 employees in 1 month. And in that time frame, we, of course, have to make sure that we're meeting our commitment to pay our employees for that time. And we always did. But the thing that became difficult is while you're waiting for government contracts to bring those dollars back to you for the work that you've provided, we needed what you would call like a bridge loan or some financial support to make sure that we wouldn't have an issue. And we were not able to get that through traditional financial channels. So we had to look at alternative investment in order to make that happen. And we were luckily successful, but not everyone is successful. And, you know, that experience for us was one that was like, this can't be a thing. There's got to be a better way for people to find a way forward, especially if you don't have a traditional background of privilege or support, whatever that might look like. So therefore, we made a pact that when we got to a place where we were more secure, that we could create something to support other entrepreneurs, particularly women and people of color.
You both you have business banking backgrounds inside of banking, and yet you still saw that navigation is tough.
Yes.
For getting money when needed. Was it because of the COVID crisis, or was it because it just wasn't workable?
Yeah, we were actually told by the loan officer who reviewed our file. We knew that we had all the things we needed to be successful from our financial background. And we were actually told that we couldn't possibly continue to have the level of success that we've had. Like just a statement made about a limit mindset to what we were capable of, to which we responded with, that might be your mindset, but it is certainly not what we believe.
And they clearly didn't know the two of you.
Not well enough, that's for sure.
Because when you say that to the two of you, it does not go over very well.
We actually said, should we just start our own bank?
Wow. So can I just ask you, what do you do
Sure.
for
Yeah.
someone who's watching and is trying to figure this out?
Yeah. So Clutch is a professional services organization that has a human design thinking element to create great experiences in whatever we do. So imagine, what does that actually mean? Imagine anything that you can do in a professional organization in that back office space, right? Like project management, communication, marketing, data work, whatever that might be, that's something our organization can support. And we are at our best when we serve an organization that is under some sort of like something that's hard to do, somewhere where they found friction in their organization and they need help to move forward. We're also great if they're implementing something new and they need strong support in organizational change management and humans to come in and help do that work. And then the third, which I think is our best niche, is really creating something from nothing, a new program, a new brand new, whatever it might be, a new business, a new something, a new arm of the organization. We excel in that space.
Wow. Is this consulting?
It is, absolutely.
Is it all consulting?
Yes. So it is consulting, and there's a piece of this that might be what you would term as like a staff augmentation or a support that comes in. It's always our people, and they might be there for 2 weeks, or they might be there for 5 years, whatever the need
It's
demands.
consulting with staff power to
Yes.
back up what you recommend, what you see change is needed and
Yes.
where.
Mhm.
And then in some cases you do it.
Yes, absolutely. We are easily identifying the strengths of the organization, and then we bring in the space. Like Ann and I have always thought of ourselves as a yin and a yang, and that's what we bring into the business is you've got this part, let us pick this up, and together we can weave those and make beautiful things happen.
Wow. Now that is such a wide net that you would think that it's just such a wide net, but it's capturing so much because you are already the fastest growing company in the greater Sacramento area. What? I mean, good job.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
How did that happen?
The secret sauce is, we say it's the people, not the project or the work. And it really comes down to that original story of our, founding the company, was sitting down and focusing on our values and being a values-based organization, the kind of place that people want to work with and for.
Yep.
That we care about how humans feel in the workplace. You spend so much time at work. You want to live in your most authentic self when you're doing that work, because you're more productive, you're more satisfied, you're likely passionate about what you're doing, and it's what makes the difference in all of it.
Now, I know you're in a brand new headquarters right now as we speak. Is all of the work literally in-house, or is some of it hybrid? Is some of it from home? How does that work?
Great question. So, when a lot of companies are moving into remote space, we decided to put down roots. And the way we're engaging in this with our team is that it's up to them. As an organization that really needs to live and breathe that authenticity, like show up how you want to show up, we have invited our team members to join us in the building, and we have not required them to do so. We would love to have that opportunity for them to come work with us as much as they'd like to, or as little as they'd like to.
So I have a question. How do you, because I know that both of you were full-time jobs, right? And you felt like you knew that you were ready for more and were not living or able to live what you felt led to do. You felt it was time to raise the bar that you had already raised, and it probably felt like it had pressed you down at work.
Quite
Is
a
that
bit.
accurate?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So How do you step out from underneath that and do something like this without being rich?
Mm,
It would scare me to death.
yeah.
A lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I would say partnership is probably the biggest component of it, is that we have always been in it together.
Yep.
And knowing that we offset each other's strengths, it really is intimidating, and fear can really get you if you let it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of mindset work to do, or undoing of the mindset. Because when you really believe in something, a project, purpose, you're pursuing your passion, it makes it easier to subside or sort of box up that fear a little bit.
Yep.
So that's sort of the warm and fuzzy answer, but there's also the response to your financial question, which is you have to take risk and you have to understand yourself well enough to know what risk you're willing to take, what the runway is for that risk, what big decisions you have to make. And it's a lot of conversation, which we have a lot of dialogue about that.
Yeah. Ann and I did the math to determine what the minimum salaries were that we were willing to take in this space. And as she talked about that ramp or that road, how long we would commit to it before we decided that it would be a success or a failure. And setting that up made us both feel safe that we could just go after it and see what the universe intended for us. And that journey, you know, has been ease and flow in a lot of areas. And where we found spots that it was hard, we would evaluate that spot and do one of those like start, stop, continue activities.
When you first started out with Clutch, I loved the Bold Speaker series.
Oh, thank you.
And it was and is such a great way to bring together so many people under one roof, or virtually, however far you go, to find inspiration. Each of the letters in bold was an acronym that someone could pick from and be. So you could be brave, or you could be opinionated, you could be a leader, driven, those, whatever they are, right? How much of that are you applying to your lives today, being bold?
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of morphed for us, not that we're not being bold, but we've both really moved into a mindset of limitless thinking, into a space of abundance and away from a place of scarcity. So being bold is still something we choose to do, right? Like, and I would categorize that as something that we're going to do it. Yes, we're going to move into this space. Yes, we're going to launch Minerva. Yes, we're going to aggregate female founders and female funders and bring this content. Yes, we're going to start a co-working company. Yes, we're going to write a book. And where some people might think, gosh, that's a lot, for us, it's what we're doing, you know? And if you're not out there reading statistics that tell you that it's not possible, then you don't know any better. So we think
I'm going to ask you this, because for someone, multi-passionate entrepreneurs, driven by what I feel is heart and head combined. You put people first, limitless thinking, and success is the score. Both of you carried that into this new chapter, having seen and knowing you outside of this. What you really are was already this. You just carried it into your somehow blended together life. And it's just fascinating to me to see you take that and go to the New York Stock Exchange, the floor in New York City. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, it was surreal. I don't think I ever thought in a million years that that's where we would be, or to see the Clutch logo up on every screen possible.
Yeah.
We were invited there. Yeah, just, I mean, awestruck, really, truly. It was a core memory for sure. And we're not a publicly traded company. I'll just clarify that for anyone that might be wondering. We've got some exciting inquiries since we visited and said that we were just there to take in the entrepreneurial experience. And we're invited to have a really wonderful conversation with Judy on the stock exchange floor, learn about the rich history of the stock exchange, how things have changed and evolved over the years, especially for access to women in that space. And really just hearing some of those trailblazing stories and history. For us, it was an incredible opportunity to share our message and what we're doing with the nation on a larger scale, so people know that this is possible, that you can follow a dream, you can end up somewhere like that, you can be human first and find success. It's not all just business. There's some humanness to that aspect of it as well.
And I will just add,
Go ahead, Rachel, go ahead.
I just want to add, it was so cool to hear Judy talk about how in the old days in the stock exchange, they would like rip the papers as they made all of their trades. And by the end of the day, they'd be like up to their armpits in papers walking around the floor. It was so cool. Now it's all digital, Rob. So it was just a really beautiful historical experience, and thinking about where we have been and where we are and where we plan to go. And it was a really wonderful experience.
I love that both of you got to marinate in that, because as you said, Anna, it's a core memory. And we don't get a lot of great core memories sometimes as adults.
Yeah.
And so, usually core memories happen very, very early in life. What a beautiful new core memory. Also, I have to ask you for a success example. Tell me a story of someone you've worked with that really captures the spirit of what you do.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So many. When you say someone we've worked with, someone on the team or one of our clients,
A client.
Experience in that space? Sure. Shall we talk about vaccine? I feel like, okay.
Which is incredibly impressive. The vaccine, 110 hires in a week.
Yeah.
That's the one you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about, I heard about that and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, we were doing a lot to support pandemic efforts. And one particular body of work that we were able to support is solving the problem for the state of California around how are we going to get vaccines spread out across the state to the 40 million residents in our state into providers' hands who are able to then issue that vaccine out to California residents. And
that alone is monumental, just that statement. You're talking about California, 40 million people.
Right. We're a huge state. When we were solving these things, they were solving them for a state that has a population of 40 million people. And, we needed to do it in a way that we weren't just sending it out to anyone who says, hey, I can do this. We had to go through verification and make sure we had risk abatement and a system that would have ease and flow to it, where it wasn't frustrating for folks who are trying to get this information out to their patients or whatever it might look like. And there were not enough hands to do all the work. Our team came in, and in a matter of weeks, not months, in a matter of weeks, we were able to start streamlining processes and get it moving and create processes. So, we figure it out, Rob.
How did you get that gig?
Well, we were supporting the state of California through the public facing call center for COVID-19. And we had heard that the vaccine group needed help. And so we had been coaching them on different content and different ways. And then ultimately we talked to them and said, you guys need additional help. Where you're headed, we can see it down the path. And this is what we would recommend you do. And we gave them a recommendation, and then they came back and asked us if we would do that work for them.
So we
were honored.
Y'all are the ones that reached out and instigated that because you had a relationship.
Yep.
They were already under the clutch of guidance.
Yes.
And then you saw this is going to be something we've got to help them tackle, and they jumped on.
Well, and for us, Rob, if I can just add, it was really validating to know that if we continue to show up as our authentic selves and work in the special way that Clutch does, where we show up as whole humans, that can earn you more opportunities and earn you relationships. And all of our clients have said that they have never worked with a consulting company that operates the way we do at Clutch. It's
That's the
just,
point. That's
yeah,
the point.
yeah,
That's the whole thing is that just the way the two of you are a team and rely on each other, you already are living that with your clients so
absolutely.
that you know their needs.
Yes.
You're the yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about someone within your own operation?
Mm. I mean, I will just put this out as like, so we don't pick on any one of our people without them knowing, but there are a number of people that after they start here, they go through what we call corporate detox, which is a process of like taking all the old things that have happened that we bring with us into a new organization that might like ping us as like, oh gosh, maybe this is happening to me, and worrying about the political atmosphere of an organization. And watching our new hires go through that process, they say like, this can't be real. Not everyone could be this nice.
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
Is this how everyone is all of the time? Kind to each other, curious, showing up authentically. And we get a lot of love notes, I'll say, emails or messages about employees that just feel like their life has changed. They can spend more time with their family, focused on them, because I think they get that fulfillment in a different way where their cup isn't necessarily emptied or depleted by the work that they're doing, but actually filling it so they can pour out into others throughout their life.
That's amazing. Now, are these full-time positions?
Yes.
And I guess the reason I ask that is because sometimes you need a bank of people, a real large volume number of people. And those aren't just people that you pull in who are waiting for work. This is full-time.
Yeah,
that's correct.
And how many people do you have working?
165 full-time employees. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and Rob, we want to hire 120 more this year. So
That's my next question. Where are you going now? Because knowing how y'all work, this is just the beginning.
You're right. You're exactly right. Yeah, we plan to continue to expand into government services, into small business services, and community financial institutions. We have a large breadth of background in financial institutions, and we really know that we can support those services.
What's your dream? And Anne, I'm going to start with you on this. What is your dream? If you could write a letter to the Anne 40 years from now, what would you say?
Keep going. You're on the right path. You can change the world through human kindness and culture, making things more accessible and helping others feel empowered.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
Is.
And Rachel?
Gosh, I would say, yeah, I love to keep going. I would say push harder, do more. You're on the right path. Keep changing lives. We are going to raise the vibration of this planet. You got it, girl. Proud of you. Yeah.
I love what you both just said. I'm so sick of bad news.
Oh, amen.
And I'm so sick of and I refuse to believe it either. Because I refuse to believe the worst of us, and I will only believe the best. I know that we have it within us to raise the vibration in everyone, and the divide can be no longer fake, because it's really about things that separate, and there's so much more that bring us together.
Yep.
That clutch us. To borrow your word. And I love that there are people doing this, and I see why y'all are such a success, because you really do care.
Anything is possible, and every corporation in the world could choose to operate in this way, because it doesn't matter if you're doing something that might be perceived as something no one would enjoy. If you can bring joy into your soul and find meaning in the work that you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is that you do. Every company could do what we're doing here.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Anne, how about you?
Yeah, I would just invite or maybe even invoke curiosity. I think a lot of what you're speaking to around the divide is perhaps an unwillingness or unawareness to ask more questions and listen a little bit more than we sort of put out there. So we wrap our brains around an understanding of the differences in our world and how people view things and how we might do things a different way and maybe even a better way. So I would invite curiosity, because I think that's the space we come from, is how could we make this better? How could this experience improve for people? And then really listen or look for information instead of thinking we have all the answers inside of us.
When you are no longer willing to grow, you are no longer willing to go any further. You will be stuck where you stop. And like you said, when something rubs the wrong way, I am learning and loving to lean into that and find out why.
Yes.
Because that's where, if we listen, we grow.
Yes.
And to see you doing that as on such a platform with all of your employees and teams is just so exciting. That is the type of ceiling that you've shattered, and that there is no ceiling above it, because you can just keep on going.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of both of you. I'm honored to know you, and I'm particularly grateful to know that you're such big leaders in our region, because we need you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can watch when you want at robontheroad.org.
Murphy Austin Adams Schoenfeld LLP, focusing on business law and commercial litigation, is proud to support Rob on the Road, Region Rising. More information available at murphyaustin.com.